An assessment is simply the process of collecting and judging evidence of performance and knowledge against a standard. The candidate is required to demonstrate, through the presentation of evidence, that they can meet the requirements of the units within the qualification they are undertaking. The evidence should be produced from the workplace, and the assessments should take place in the workplace. Now let's look at the definition of understanding. Definition of understanding: a mental grasp, comprehension. This means, if you understand mathematics, you understand the calculations your calculator performs for you. If you understand electronics and engineering, then you understand how the calculator performs those calculations. Knowledge versus understanding. Both understanding and knowledge are essential, and one is incomplete without the other. If a student understands the concept explained by the instructor but has gained no knowledge, he or she will get nowhere. Similarly, knowledge, facts, without understanding is merely an example of a student's good memory. So, knowledge is just the awareness that something exists. Understanding is knowing how it works or how to use it. Competence. Assessing competence. To ensure that employees within an organization work in accordance with their operational standards and are complying with regulations, assessors play a key role in assessing competence and helping candidates to progress. Obviously, personnel have to be trained to perform the competence assessor role successfully. Assessment is the process whereby each candidate has the opportunity to demonstrate to their assessor their ability to perform to the required standard. The assessment itself will, as far as practicality and safety goes, be incorporated into the candidate's normal working day, and should therefore occur as a natural part of the job rather than a specially planned event. Competence is an outcome. It demonstrates what an individual can do rather than the learning process which the candidate has undertaken. In order to measure someone's ability, there must be clear and widely accessible standards through which performance is measured and recognized. Competency includes the capacity to perform individual tasks, manage a range of different tasks, respond to contingencies or breakdowns, deal with responsibilities of the workplace, including working with others, equal opportunities in assessment. Now, we're going to discuss a fundamental aspect of assessment: equal opportunities, ensuring fairness and inclusivity. Principle of fairness. Fairness is not just a goal, it's a principle that underpins our assessment process. It's about ensuring that every candidate has an equal opportunity to demonstrate their competency. Consideration of individual needs. Fairness in assessment requires us to consider the individual needs and characteristics of each candidate. This includes making reasonable adjustments to accommodate those needs. Clear communication. Clear communication between the assessor and the candidate is essential. Candidates must be fully informed about the assessment process, understand their role, and agree that the process is appropriate. Participation and agreement. It's crucial that candidates feel empowered to participate in the assessment process. They should have the opportunity to voice any concerns or challenges they may encounter. Right to challenge and reassessment. Another aspect of fairness is the right for candidates to challenge the result of their assessment. If necessary, they should also have the opportunity to be reassessed. Conflict of interest in assessment. Now, we're going to address a critical issue in the assessment process: conflict of interest. Understanding the issue. It's not uncommon for organizations to assign instructors as assessors. However, this practice can potentially lead to a conflict of interest. Training versus competency. Let's clarify something crucial: training is the first step towards competency. Merely undergoing training doesn't automatically prove competence. Definition of training. Training is about imparting information and instructions to enhance performance or achieve a required level of knowledge or skill. Role of an assessor. An assessor evaluates an individual's performance against set standards without providing any assistance. This ensures objectivity in assessing competence. Conflict of interest scenario. Now, imagine if the same person who provided training also assesses competency. A conflict of interest arises when the assessor evaluates the effectiveness of their own training. Dilemma for the assessor faces a dilemma. If they declare the individual as not yet competent, it implies their own training was ineffective. If they declare the individual as competent to save face, it compromises safety and integrity. Ideal solution: ideally, the roles of instructor and assessor should be separate. This ensures objectivity, integrity, and the credibility of the assessment process. Confidentiality in assessment process. Let's delve into a crucial aspect of the assessment process: confidentiality and data protection. Importance of confidentiality. Confidentiality and data protection are not just buzzwords, they're integral to maintaining the integrity of our assessment process. Reflecting in qualifications framework. Within our qualifications framework, confidentiality is given paramount importance. It's ingrained in every aspect of our assessment process. Handling confidential information. Now, let's talk about the practical aspects. Evidence and assessment records are sensitive information. It's imperative that they're kept confidential at all times. Storage measures. Portfolios and assessor records should be stored securely, ideally in a locked cupboard. This ensures unauthorized access is prevented. Documentation and policy discussion. During the completion of the assessment plan, candidates and assessors discuss and document storage of evidence, confidentiality, and data protection policies. Internal quality assurance. Our internal quality assurance process verifies that these policies have been discussed and understood. We check for signatures and conduct interviews to ensure compliance. In summary, confidentiality and data protection are not just checkboxes, they're foundational principles in our assessment process. Portfolio. A portfolio is a collection of documents that records the assessment process, the contents of which vary dependent on the role of the holder within the process. Workplace. This refers to the real-life working environment where the candidate obtains his or her evidence. VARCS, Rules of Evidence, the essential principles for assessing evidence. VARCS stands for valid, authentic, reliable, current, and sufficient. These principles guide assessors in evaluating evidence accurately and fairly. Let's break it down. Valid. The evidence must be relevant to the assessment criteria. It should directly relate to the skills or knowledge being evaluated. Authentic. The evidence. Definition of knowledge, the fact or condition of being aware of something. The key word here is aware. Aware does not mean you understand it. Most of us can use a calculator, but that doesn't mean we understand the mathematical principles underlying the work the calculator does for us. Nor does it mean we know how the calculator performs those principles. It just means we know what it is, and how to push the right buttons in the right order to get the results we need. The same applies to computers and smartphones. Knowing how to use them does not mean we understand the information they provide, or how they provide it. Assessment plans serve as planning document for gathering evidence of competency. It outlines overall processes necessary for evidence collection. In assessments, the emphasis lies on gathering evidence that authentically reflects a candidate's skills. Natural performance situations are ideal for this purpose as they offer genuine demonstrations of competency. Yet, to bolster the assessor's final decision, additional sources of evidence beyond their own observations become invaluable. These supplementary sources provide support and add depth to the assessment process. Examples of such evidence include documents like permits to work, videos capturing performance, and minutes from meetings where candidates actively participated. Each of these documents offers unique insights into the candidate's abilities, enriching the assessment and ensuring a well-rounded evaluation. By incorporating a variety of evidence sources, assessors can make more informed decisions, enhancing the credibility and validity of the assessment outcomes. Competence. Assessing competence. To ensure that employees within an organization work in accordance with their operational standards and are complying with regulations, assessors play a key role in assessing competence and helping candidates to progress. Obviously, personnel have to be trained to perform the competence assessor role successfully. Assessment is the process whereby each candidate has the opportunity to demonstrate to their assessor their ability to perform to the required standard. The assessment itself will, as far as practicality and safety goes, be incorporated into the candidate's normal working day, and should therefore occur as a natural part of the job rather than a specially planned event. Competence is an outcome. It demonstrates what an individual can do rather than the learning process which the candidate has undertaken. In order to measure someone's ability, there must be clear and widely accessible standards through which performance is measured and recognized. Competency includes the capacity to perform individual tasks, manage a range of different tasks, respond to contingencies or breakdowns, deal with responsibilities of the workplace, including working with others. The Work Assessment Manual, WAM, sets standards and provides a structured approach for assessing job performance. At its core are key functions, representing main job responsibilities, further broken into units describing primary tasks. Each unit contains multiple elements, which detail specific activities within these tasks. Performance criteria accompany each element, outlining steps to ensure tasks are completed correctly and efficiently. The range statement specifies the different conditions under which competence must be demonstrated, ensuring versatility in performance. Knowledge criteria highlight the essential understanding needed for effective task execution, promoting deep capability. Finally, evidence requirements define the types of proof, such as work samples, certifications, or performance reviews, needed to demonstrate a person's competence. A standard is a guideline informing a person what they must know and do in the workplace. Competency standards define the requirements for effective workplace performance in a specific area of work, work function, activity or process. Competency standards are expressed in outcome terms. They specify knowledge and skill, and the application of that knowledge and skill to the standard of performance required in the workplace. The competency standards also specify the knowledge and understanding employees must have to carry out their job efficiently, effectively, and safely. The competency standards also specify the evidence that may be gathered by the candidate in order to determine whether the activity is being performed in a competent manner. Competence. Assessing competence. To ensure that employees within an organization work in accordance with their operational standards and are complying with regulations, assessors play a key role in assessing competence and helping candidates to progress. Obviously, personnel have to be trained to perform the competence assessor role successfully. Assessment is the process whereby each candidate has the opportunity to demonstrate to their assessor their ability to perform to the required standard. The assessment itself will, as far as practicality and safety goes, be incorporated into the candidate's normal working day, and should therefore occur as a natural part of the job rather than a specially planned event. Competence is an outcome. It demonstrates what an individual can do rather than the learning process which the candidate has undertaken. In order to measure someone's ability, there must be clear and widely accessible standards through which performance is measured and recognized. Competency includes the capacity to perform individual tasks, manage a range of different tasks, respond to contingencies or breakdowns, deal with responsibilities of the workplace, including working with others.